possible by the Civ Legacy Foundation, which is a non-profit expression of Civ Source Africa, that is a philanthropy advisory firm here in Uganda. Civ Legacy Foundation is a philanthropy support and advisory partner passionate about curating and facilitating spaces for conversations on contextual issues on leadership, governance, transitions management, and succession planning across sectors. So to Civ Source, thank you very much for making this panel possible. At this point, I am going to invite our latest entrant to please tell us your name and what university you're coming from, so that we are sure that you're even eligible. And we disqualify you quickly just in case you're not. So, oh, there's a microphone right next to you that you can use.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. My name is Sheila Princess Obia, the first female guild president for Uganda Matters University. Thank you.
Oh, but you're not standing, so I'm not sure whether to disqualify you in my 45 minutes, but let's proceed. Looking at political parties and looking at student guild elections, this panel is supposed to look at the extent of political party influence in universities, but also look at the impact of political party involvement on student politics and governance in the country. We are also on this panel supposed to look at envisioning the future of student governance in Uganda in light of the current trends in political party involvement. And so without wasting time, I will go straight, I'll start with Honorable Fred Mbidde Mukasa, because of the number of hand claps you received. So, reflecting on your time as a guild leader, how significant was the influence of political parties in your election during your tenure?
Thank you very much. First of all, I will not take the invitation for me to come here for granted. I definitely would thank you, the organizers of this, that you invited me. I equally associate myself with the protocol as has been adumbrated by all the precurrent speakers. For purposes of saving time, you have, your invitation to me here has saved me the nostalgia of always wanting to be here. What exactly was the effect of political parties? Let me also thank my teacher. You have been accusing me of being grandiloquent and magniloquent. One of my teachers is here.
I'm beginning to wonder if it was a good idea for you to start, but please go ahead.
Thank you, and my Prime Minister, thank you. First of all, I can ably tell you I stood here in 2001, 2002, when political parties were actually by law in abeyance. They were not, they were stopped from and in fact, I was disqualified for much of the bigger time of the campaign because I was a candidate for the Democratic Party, Uganda Young Democrats. I was disqualified. We petitioned, we argued the case, and during the campaign is when now the disqualification, of course, was extinguished. That's when I returned to the fold, behaving like an elephant that jumped into a pond, thereby displacing all the waters that it found there and ultimately won. So, political parties generally are the fonts that or go. They are the beginning of the ideological orientation of a candidate for any election. Because if you now facilitate the independence of minds in terms of elections, you are only establishing the kind of leaderships that are actually so dictatorial. For me, an independent political leader is to the extent of beginning of his origin of politics, a dictator. Why can't you, because belonging to a political party is first of all to subject your own opinions and options to the common good, to the extent that then you can even lose out on the opinion because it is known philosophically and scientifically that everybody believes he's right and that the other one is wrong. Otherwise, why would you keep an opinion you already believe is wrong? So, the meaning is that you subject the kind of opinion to other opinions to the extent that then the majority wins. The extent of the effect of political parties to the politics of young people in universities is extremely important. Today, it is, I think, diminished because the honchos and the sachems of the university now have, in my opinion, diminished the applicability of political party practices here. And this is something I need to report to you because we enjoyed it and the young people are not enjoying it. You invited me, so my opinion is we'll definitely go to the public, and that is something that we need to actually curtail.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mbidde. I had to come in very quickly because you had jumped to another question altogether, which will come back. But thank you very much for sharing and reflecting on the significance of your political party on your election. At this point, I will bring in Priska, because I know Priska was guild president at the Uganda Christian University. And at a certain point, I'm not sure if that point still exists, you couldn't stand for presidency under a political party. And I will send the same question over to you. Was there any significance or influence on your election? Was there a political party that you allied with, or are you fully independent? Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. All protocol observed, and I must say it's an honor this morning to be here, to be on this panel, and to share my thoughts with everyone in this room. I want to thank the organizers of this summit in a very special way for organizing this for us. It's very, very timely. I shared with them and I told him I think there was a gap in the affairs of our country, the governance of our country. There was a gap in participation of former student leaders on all levels, from the presidents, the speakers, the entire cabinet, let's say, as a guild government always is. And I think this is very timely for us, that we should be able to share our thoughts and put our minds together. So having come from UCU, those of us who are aware, UCU does not have party politics. That is what the university charter says, that is what it is by law. So we don't have partisan politics, so you run as an independent. Of course, in most instances, some candidates lean, but if you're discovered as someone who's leaning on a political party, it's also a crime. So you really have to be independent. So I didn't have that experience in my campaign. I remember we were 12 candidates, and after vetting, we eventually came down to 2. And it was very, very tough. It was the first time we had a female president, first time in 20 years of the university. That was in 2016, November. For the last 19 years, we had gentlemen. We had a lady, but she came after Ariran. That is Honorable Blessed, Her Excellency Blessed Murungi. But she came after Iran. So we had never had a direct election where a girl comes through. So it was timely. I believe it was timely. And I said, you know what? It's time to put my best foot forward. I ran that race. It was tough, but I won it. I want to thank God because we won overwhelmingly. We had very big numbers. And I knew I wasn't running that race just for me, but to set a precedent for the rest of the girls who will come after me. And in the last 5 years, we've had 2 other girls win the guild election at UCU Mukono. Yes. So we don't have party politics from there. So the experience that I have with political parties is after I left the university. That's when I got the experience. I joined the NRM at district level, and I was able to run through those different stages, from the village to the parish to the sub-county to the district level. And it was amazing. I was like, okay, this is beautiful. And there is a way the political party makes an election easier for a candidate as opposed to when you're independent. Yes, that's my experience. And over to you, Isabella. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Priska. And the reason we are also rushing through this panel is because it's only 45 minutes, and we'll only take 5 questions from the audience. So when we open up for questions, make sure that you're very alert. At this point, we'll move on to Honorable Anna Adeke. And Honorable Anna, I'm going to ask you a 2-in-1 question. The first one is, given the experience that Priska has just shared, does it make sense to have political parties in universities? Or is there bliss? You know, because from her explanations, it sounds like UCU elections are very blissful because there's no political party involvement. But the second question to you is, what are some of the most challenging moments you faced while balancing the interests of your of your student constituents and the expectations and pressures of your political parties. And I make this assumption based on how active you are within FDC, even during the time that you are a student leader here at Makerere. Over to you, Honorable Anna.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's such a privilege to be here in the midst of such young, youthful, vibrant energy. So, Isabella, you ask if it makes sense to have political parties. And yes, my straight answer is yes, it does make sense to have political parties at the universities, in the universities. I would make a strong case for political parties to continue to be present because the freedom of association and expression is a fundamental freedom which our Constitution recognizes. And university students as young adults are very conscious, politically conscious of the decisions that they make. So enabling them to identify with political parties that whose values they consider important to them is very critical. But also for a university as a center of excellence and research, enabling innovation, one of the easiest ways to encourage innovation and creativity is to allow free expression among the academia, free expression among the student body. So if they freely express, then they can also be encouraged to be creative. It extends even to their creativity in the academia. It's so important for students to be allowed to freely interact with their political parties because it's such a transition stage for them. In no time, they're going to be out in the world. They want to easily transition into these political parties. We've seen several youth leaders who are involved in guild politics easily transition into national politics. And one of the things that makes it simple for them is because they've already associated themselves with political parties. They've become very conversant with the working of political parties. They know what they are the challenges they are going to meet. They know how to navigate their way around them. So it's so important. And I would make the strongest case for political parties to continue to be present in universities. I do not think that political parties are the reason as to why there's been violence that has characterized these different elections. The violent nature of our politics is actually something that comes from above. It's how we have managed our politics as a nation. It has been, we have so much force, so much brutality, so much militarization in our politics as a nation. That is why we find even the simplest LC1 election will be a violent one. So I wouldn't look at political parties as the reason. So it's really important, even for the university, to continue to grow in its rankings in research, as I have already stated. If people are allowed to freely express themselves, that is when the university will thrive as a center of research, excellence, innovation. Okay. You asked me a two-in-one question. And the second part to it was the challenges that I faced, having to balance political party and student interest. First of all, as young adults, it's so important that you allow yourselves to go through this process, allow yourselves to be challenged, because that's what life is. That's really what life is. If we continue to grow students who do not understand the challenges of what it means to be in a political organization, then we are just blinding them, and it's only for a short while, because the truth is that that's how the world is. So I did have challenges, managing the two because of the different interests. Students and my political party. Of course, my political party, as is with every political party, is interested in numbers, mobilization. So I had to deliver also for my party to mobilize students. But student politics is a bit different. Yeah, students are really interested in the causes that bring them together. At my time, it was tuition, 60%. I think Makerere students overcame it. The rampant strikes, Mukasa. So the interests are different, and you have to balance them. Also, the transitioning was not so easy, moving from student politics to national politics, because you move from, you know, a body politic like this one, which you can discuss with like this, to dealing with a population that has not necessarily acquired an education up until this level. So how you deal with both is different. Yeah, so that's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Anna. And at this point, we will bring in the other DP member. It seems DP is overly subscribed on this panel, but bringing in Christopher Okidi, who was Guild President, Gulu University, 2008 to 2009. Is it possible for you to share with us any specific instances where your political party involvement could have impacted your election either positively or negatively, but also post the election, how your political party involvement could have affected how you governed as Guild President of Gulu, especially because you are also very active in the Uganda Young Democrats?
Thank you. Not only active, I was president of the Uganda Young Democrats, actually the immediate past president, yeah. And national youth leader of the Democratic Party, immediate past, yeah. So I think I can speak about all universities, because as president of UID, one of my terms of references were to strengthen the Youth League of the Democratic Party. And strengthening the Youth League of the Democratic Party means outreach in various institutions of higher learning. And the best prize you can ever get out of a higher institution of learning is to get a Guild President. And I am so excited that even when I'm in this particular hall, I can see many Guild Presidents who have actually moved through my hands. Now, to the question, I think nowadays I wonder what kind of students we have in universities. Because if you're to journey through students' movements, the senior president of NUSU, yeah, the prime minister, the former prime minister is here, and other Guild presidents are here. They know how their role in not only engaging unfair policies within the university is something we all talk about today. They did not only go against the institutions, but they also fought for democracy in the country during Idi Amin. We read all these stories in books that were written. They fought for democracy. I have no kind words for the NRM, but sometimes I make concession and say a group of young people formed what was called FRONASA and then engaged. And by the way, FRONASA was an equal partner with Kikosi Malum in liberating Uganda in 1979. So, and those were students. You've heard about stories of students such as General Mugisha Muntu finishing his last exam in political science at Makerere and joining his comrade in the bush. What was the objective? To fight for democracy. Now, I want to put this thing in a conceptual context. Political parties conceptually comes from what we call liberal pluralism. And that is democracy. Democracy is about pluralism. In fact, Alexis de Tocqueville, a French-American political theorist, said democracy thrives through citizen associations, through citizen groups. The Democratic Party is a citizen association that belongs in liberal conservative political ideals. The National Unity Platform is a political party that fights for the common man. Am I right on that? Or the hoi polloi, if we are to use Makerere political lingua franca. You see? We have the UPC, which is a social democratic political organization. Now, the problem is that in Uganda, we don't understand what democracy is and liberal pluralism is. And that is why an institution like Makerere can come up with a very obnoxious policy saying we need to stop the operations of political parties. No. Political liberal pluralism is a function of modernity. Modern political engagement requires that you become part of political associations. Now, if you have a country, because colleagues here have told you the challenges. They have told you the challenges we face, political parties face, even when they're engaging on government, with government and governance. And all these fights are completely unnecessary if you understand that politics, political differences, political organizations are just representation of views. It shouldn't go into fistfights, hatred, and nobody should ban this. And for me, I think that if we can understand that particular context, modernity, that we want to modernize our politics as a country, we have to embrace liberal pluralism. These are very basic things. So the mere fact that even our democracy is failing, we are banning political parties, we are actually saying we are banning democracy. That is what we are saying, that we are banning democracy, because democracy is anchored based on citizen association. I think, let me drop the mic on that, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. And I noticed that our dignitaries all left, which we can. And we will move on to Sheila Obia from the Uganda Matters University in Nkozi. Are there instances where your involvement with your political party impacted you positively or negatively, and how it could have impacted your governance long term? And once you're done, I would like Honorable Mbidde to please do a rejoinder around what Christopher talked about. So Christopher talks about modernization, but he also talks about the curtailing of citizen grouping and how that is affecting leadership at university level. And I would like you to do an analysis of the time that you were guild president, because I think you were guild president longest backwards, if we're to look at anyone on the panel. So draw a relationship between then and now. So you can think about that while we bring on Sheila. So over to you, Sheila.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. During the time I served as the first female guild president, 2016-2017, at the time there were no political parties. I don't know if there are political parties involved in Uganda Matters University guild politics, because the only political party, perhaps I would say, is in those Christian universities. First of all, it's a Catholic institution, and so political parties are not so much involved. I never heard of any at that time. And also, it's only religious political party, I would say, because for one, to contest as the guild president, you must be a Catholic. So for me, that I think it's safe to say that it was only religious political party, because other than being a Catholic, you wouldn't be able to, be allowed to contest for such a critical role. So there were no political parties. Whereas, just from the question you asked Honorable Anna Adeke about political parties being involved in or being not being ruled out in universities, I somehow beg to disagree, because I believe political parties in universities, in schools, in tertiary institutions, they limit students from exploring a lot of things. You are limited to that, you subscribe to that particular political party, and so your ideas, so many other things are limited to what that party subscribes to. And so you cannot explore other opportunities. But when you're given, when it's a free kind of elections like where we involved ourselves in, even the sister university, UCU, you are able to traverse and get to understand a lot of things from different dynamics. But when you're limited to party activities, and then a lot of things you cannot explore a lot of things. But then it gives you a go ahead when you're now out in the world. You can now choose which party to subscribe to. But I would believe that in universities we could be free. Anyone can practice, except of course the religious one I talked about, so that you are able to traverse and get to understand a lot of things. So when you're out in the world, you'll be able to choose the party that you wish to subscribe to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the issue of religious political parties has now come up twice. Priska may not have given it a name, but it was there, it was alluded to. And then when you look at the panel as well, and you look at the guild president of IU who will be on another panel, I think there will be an issue of religious political parties. And so as Honorable Mukasa Mbidde comes on board, I would like to already preempt and ask Anna to think about, to just do a rejoinder around the notion around the presence, like make a case for political parties in institutions of higher learning, because Sheila just said that we had no chaos because we did not have political parties, so we were able to focus. So one might argue focus and peace, and yet another might argue, like Christopher said, the realities of society, that even if you decide to avoid this thing, it's your reality. So I would like you to come and give us a rejoinder on that. But over to you, please.
Thank you very much. I think it is extremely important for everybody to notice that we are under a multi-party political dispensation. Much as university trains its own people for purposes of the labor market. Now, the political labor market in Uganda is that of multi-party political dispensation. Now, for you to ban parties here and at the same time pretend that you're actually training your people to become young leaders, to me, is to tell me that you have got a very great sense of humor. It is extremely pretentious and ladida I would like everybody to notice that one of the bromides that lingers at the subconscious level of every young person is that of being told that you are leaders of tomorrow. Now, it is not enough for you to be just young that guarantees you leadership tomorrow. It is not important, because being young is merely, is a short period of time. It is, in proper English, it is majorly ephemeral and fugacious. It is short. But it matters a lot who is telling you. If that person telling you that you are leaders of tomorrow is adult and not a leader, then that does not guarantee that you will be a leader tomorrow. So it is extremely important. And these are things that we need to look at, particularly Makerere University, because I am more versed with this university than many other universities. This has always been the key to much of the future in terms of everything. In terms of everything, in proper English, the faucet origo of everything. Whoever passes here definitely is destined for higher altitudes. But what is now the resultant effect of the bans that you are enjoying here? We have now started enjoying a world where idiots are leaders. And I am telling you, today now, what everybody needs to do is to develop an idiot detection system if you are to flourish and develop politically. Because I can tell you that idiots are sometimes, of course, even brighter. They can dazzle you with wrong opinions and frameworks. They can even get promoted before you on a job. They can even be elected president. It almost happened. So I can tell you, and this is a result of universities failing to do what they are supposed to do, and instead engage in what they are not supposed to do. I can tell you safely
The views of Honorable Mukasa Mbidde are his alone.
So I can tell you that it is extremely important to leave political parties to flourish here if we are going to have a Uganda that is safer for us and even for those yet unborn. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we will be bringing on Anna to submit. But while Anna submits, I would like to call upon the rest of the panelists to begin to think about strategies and approaches by both universities and political parties that could have either preserved the autonomy or independence of student governance from external forces of particular political parties, the ruling governance system, or even the university leadership and their personal opinions on how student leadership needs to look like. Over to you, Honorable Anna.
Thank you, Bella. So our sisters present scenarios where each of the universities that they have, studied in have, first of all, and most notably, are private institutions of higher learning. And private institutions have really devised their own modalities. So the only way that I can reconcile theirs and Makerere or other universities is that it's a public versus private university situation. You cannot, Article 29 is very clear. We have our freedom of expression, the freedom of religion. We are a secular nation that allows any religion to thrive. So in a public institution of higher learning, it's almost close to impossible to limit some things, actually to limit anything to religion. However, in a private university, it's being done, but recently there's been developing jurisprudence that is really showing that even private institutions of higher learning can have their decisions vetoed by courts. The judicial review decisions have been made, and that body of law is also growing to check how private universities are regulating their students, disciplining their students. So I would largely make a case for all universities not to be restrictive in their nature in allowing students to freely express, freely associate themselves with whoever they want to associate with. Because really, as a country, we are a secular nation. Yeah, but for the private universities, I think it's almost close to impossible for them to delete some of those things that are really the bedrock of how they are formed and founded. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And we're going to go to the next question, but I'm going to give Christopher Okidi and Honorable Mukasa Mbidde the privilege of going first. Why? Because when we're looking at strategies and approaches to independence of student governance, but also the influence of political parties, we have already ascertained at this point that Priska and Sheila had a religious political party situation. So it would be unfair to subject them to this question. So we will have the two gentlemen go first, and then we will have a rejoinder from the ladies looking at any proposals that you would maybe put on the table on how students would have been better able to associate with their political parties, given that they were over the age of 18, but also how peace could have maybe reigned within your universities. So over to you, Christopher.
Okay, I hope I get the question right on strategies. For me, one thing I think is I happen to be consultant. Besides these other engagements, I consult on youth political participation. And I happen to have consulted for an entity that met the chairman of the Electoral Commission last year it was a group of young people called the Interparty Youth Platform. We really discussed some of these issues. I hope they reached the table of the chairman of Electoral Commission.
They have now reached.
Yeah, we actually said that Electoral Commission should understand that political parties deposit their constitutions with them. And in those constitutions deposited, even if there is an amendment, it must be gazetted and deposited with the Electoral Commission. And some of these constitutions have youth leagues. Some of these constitutions have students' union. And by the fact that a regulator like the Electoral Commission is sleeping when student spaces like guild is being closed. This is, remember, it is political democratic development should move side by side with the development of political parties. I hope all of you will agree with me that our political parties are in a very sorry state, which is also a failure of liberal pluralism, because ask members of political parties, do they even know the ideologies of their various political parties? I was in the Democratic Party. I'm sure half of the population doesn't even know what DP stands for. Maybe only a few of us who used to go abroad to represent the party understood it, you see? So the functionality of these institutions must be both internal and external in terms of environment. Internally, they must, political parties must first of all offer sufficient training. When we had, I see Julius Katerega somewhere, I saw him. Yes, when we were fronting Julius for Guild President Makerere, Julius personally, I had known him for 3 years. When I was doing my bar course at the Law Development Center, he would come and I give him assignment and say, I'm very busy with LDC, I don't want to fail. Go and organize Makerere students under a football platform, take them to play football and give me a report. And he will do it. That is part of mentorship. So by the time we were fronting him for Guild President, we knew he understood, we knew first of all, his capacity was built. He was going to make good speeches. He was going to put the Democratic Party in good light. And he has the discernment to know at what point excitement border crosses over to chaos. Because what political institutions are dealing with is chaotic electoral processes, which is not only in universities, but in the country. We saw in 2021 elections, the entire Kampala. Me, I was contesting in Gulu for parliament, but I would see on news, Kampala was under siege. Some people from Western Uganda had already packed their luggage and exiting the city. So chaotic electoral processes are a result of lack of mentorship. You see? I participated in, as Guild President, I defeated an NRM candidate who was first of all a major in the army and a trainer. He trains cadres at Chamkwanzi, but he's the person I defeated because I was prepared for it. I didn't have to be chaotic. All what NRM did is they brought in a lot of money, and then I would tell people, there's a story Norbert Mao likes telling about a man who went to heaven. That story, Mao actually adopted it from my campaign. I am not saying that it is an original thought of mine. I also stole it from the Leadership magazine, the Catholic Leadership magazine, where there was a Reverend Father called Carlos Rodriguez who used to write for the Leadership magazine. So I also stole it and converted it into political communication. Why? Because I wanted to send a message and say, one time there was democracy in heaven and people were to choose between heaven and hell, which one is democratically, which one they would prefer. They went to hell and saw honey, people dancing in Domboloya solo, people were so excited. And then when they went, rather that was hell. Then when they went to heaven, they found things were different. So some of these, it is about preparation. Your candidate will not mobilize people to go and attack another candidate because they are going to be overpowered over money. You just create. All these guild elections UID has been winning. I even feel embarrassed to tell people how much we would give people like a Terega to run for elections. Sometimes I even have to switch off my phone and run away because the universities are too many and the resource envelope that EC gives to a political party based on numerical number strength is not even sustainable. So a takeaway from what I'm saying is that political parties need to provide enough mentorship, mentor young people who understand their responsibilities, who can navigate complex political terrains in the country, and I think that is how we can navigate. But also, it is the seat of power.
Lastly?
Yeah, lastly, of course. The seat of power. Let our elders in Uganda, I feel so embarrassed if elders in Uganda do not even understand the historical mission of Uganda. The historical mission of this country is to build a nation state based on democracy. That is it. And so we need to protect democracy. And democracy is not an institution of enmity. Leaders need to distinguish between excitement that elections brings and chaos.
Thank you.
I think sometimes they fail to draw that line. That is why they come up with these unfortunate policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To the Honorable Mukasa Mbidde, without repeating what Okidi has said, we're looking at independence and autonomy of student governance bodies, and that is autonomy from political party, negative influence, but also from overbearing policies within the universities that they are working or that they're existing in. And given your examination of the years, what are some of the strategies that could work now, could have worked in the past, and enabled student governance bodies to actually thrive? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you have reminded me of my former campaign days. The analysis I gave to Makerere University, which obviously equally obtained is now to the whole country, was that, and it is, that Uganda and majorly Makerere University equally are now fossilized. Fossilization, to those who are scientists, has the effect of failure of locomotion. It has gout and varicose veins now in every limb.
Honorable Mukasa, on the point of gout, we are going to come back on gout. But let us get, yes, on gout, and we will remember the gout, but I think our guests are here, and let's just hold this very exciting thought, although now the guests are not here. But yes, okay, let's continue.
Yes, so now the role before us is to diagnose the whole disease and its causes with microscopic exactness. Because if we fail to do that, then obviously we are missing a very big point. One time I was discussing, because you see, the Nigerians say that when a mother cow is eating, the younger ones are also watching to see the movement of the jaws. Afterwards, equally, that is how they also begin to move theirs while eating. Now, what you see here is majorly a microcosm of what obtains outside Makerere. So when you see the university policies seeking to curtail political party rights here, it is not different from what is happening in the whole country. This is just a microcosm. This is Uganda made simple. In Uganda, of course, we had a ban of political parties from 1986 to 2005, which is clearly 19 years of ignorance about political party applications and operations. I hope we are not...
Ladies and gentlemen, let's all stand up and welcome our chief guest in a very thunderous clap. Let's clap for chief guest as he joins us. His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, you're so much welcome. It's such an honor to have you today. We are much gratified to have you here today. And now that our chief guest is here, we are going to stay standing as the Bantu troupe will lead us in one stanza of each anthem, the Ugandan anthem, the Tanzanian anthem, and the East African anthem, Bantu. We have Honorable Mukasa Mbidde, the Iyala Member of Parliament. We have the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Uganda, Justice Simon Byabakama, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Makerere University, Professor Henry Arinitwe, the Guild Leadership of Makerere University, the Uganda National Students' Council leaders, the National Youth Council leadership, university guild leaders and former guild leaders, representatives of NDAs, political parties, development partners, representatives, and those from the CSOs, you're all welcome. Our dear chief guest, before you arrived, we had a great conversation from the Professor Sarah Sali, the Dean of School of Gender, Makerere University, Center for Excellence in Notions of Identity. And here she identified a couple of issues which are very critical to our nation, not only to our continent. She said that the continent is exploited and re-echoed that African Union and the African leaders have the answers to our continent. She called for the regional blocs to negotiate at that layer. Again, she emphasized the neocolonialism with limited knowledge on what the continent has to offer. She again emphasized that leadership comes with service. Shortly after that, Your Excellency, we had another speech from Justice Simon Byabakama, the chairperson, Uganda Electoral Commission, and emphasized the need of everyone to be inclusive in the elections of our land. He emphasized the youth to be very disciplined, but again not to be used by political negative elements for their political gains as Uganda looks for the roadmap of election. Your Excellency, as you arrived, we were having a conversation, and we are still having a conversation with the former guild leaders in national politics. We have former student leaders experienced in the national politics and exploring the influence of political parties in student guild elections. And this is moderated by Isabella Akiteng, a researcher. Amandu Chamagero as your host today. Akiteng.
Thank you very much. And under the umbrella of the protocol that was provided for by Mr. Chamagero, I will proceed with my moderation, because if I were to go through it again, yes. And we are very grateful to have you all. And I'm not sure how to bring back Honorable Mukasa Mbidde by reminding him that he was at the point of gout.
Thank you. I had provided my diagnosis that includes that, of course, when you look at now Makerere University, particularly our senior guests that were outside, the question was having something to do with curtailment of multi-party political freedoms here at the university. And I was giving my analysis that actually the Nigerians say that when the mother cow is eating, the younger ones are also watching to see the movement of the jaws. And afterwards, clearly, that is how they also begin to do so. That what happens here is just Uganda made simple. It must be amplified to include what is happening in the whole country. So I was giving an analysis that because we had some party ban from 1986 to 2005, that clearly provided 19 years of ignorance of political parties and how they operate. And that established now a fossilized society with the gout and varicose veins in every political limb. To the extent that when you look at political parties, the analysis then comes in. They are equally a dichotomy of two. There is, and of course, which is based on opinions. The intellectuals from universities also join political parties, but then those that are also found there that somehow are also popular by means of celebrity panjandram are also in the party. So it creates a dichotomy of two, and those two have been interpreted by the ignorant media as factions. So, not knowing obviously that at the offices of the Electoral Commission, you cannot have factions because parties are bodies corporate. Not every opinion can be a faction. And these are things that we know should have happened. Civic education was necessary in the circumstances. Of course, our chief guest, you are the fourth president of the United Republic of Tanzania. For us, we have had ours, and we're not complaining for quite a long time. And all of us here are part of the traffic jam now. So, at least for you, of course, there has been some bit of movement so that the jam has been dealt away with. Us and all those near you are part of the traffic jam. But we are still dealing with it, our chief guest.
Yes.
So, it is important, cause and effect. A people's level to govern themselves democratically is proportionate to the degree of their understanding of the structure and functioning of the whole social body. Now, Makerere and other universities should be led to understand the structure and functioning of political parties, to the extent then that we shall have leaders of tomorrow that understand it to the gist. That will be now the service provided in terms of body politic of the future. It starts here. If it doesn't start here, you are sending us fellows that are going to get stuck on the streets. They don't know what to say. In fact, they will begin to So mentorship begins here, and if it doesn't, obviously then you are starting a blockade, a facility, a fanfaronade here, and you are calling it education, and that will not be the case.
And on that note, thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you very much, Honorable Mukasa Mbidde. For the guests who have just arrived, the question to the panel was around strategies and approaches that could have better preserved the autonomy and independence of student governance bodies so that they would be able to thrive in a multi-party dispensation. And we had left the two ladies, that is Sheila and Priska, to come in last because because of the unique realities in their universities. They say that in their universities they have religious political parties. So political party in its known knowledge is not accepted in those two universities, but it's an aspect of what religion do you subscribe to. So I will bring you on board to respond to the question. Over to you, Priska.
Thank you very much, Isabella, and Your Excellency, you're very welcome, and we're so glad to have you, together with the guests that have come with you. Just to speak into that, Honorable Mbidde spoke about fools getting to the surface. If we are sleeping as the elite, as the people who are ready and prepared, then fools are going to take over. In my book that I authored, Courage Under Fire, there was one philosopher that said that if the upright and righteous of society don't accept to lead, then they must accept to be led by fools. And I hope that sinks this morning in our minds, that there is a vacuum if we don't prepare. First of all, what do university politics give us? Universities help us to prepare. How do you manage resources? How do you manage people? Regardless of how you got in, if you came through a political party or you came through a religious affiliation, it's okay. But now you're there, in that 1 year that you have in office, what are you doing? How are you managing your time? So for me, I think the bigger question should be, after the university politics, what next for us? Because this is just a bedrock for us to come and do well at national level. If I am a good leader, I will still come through. Whether I've come through a party or not, I will still be able to find my way up. So the question should be for us this morning, afternoon actually, it should be that, what are we doing with the different experiences that we share? And I think the purpose of this summit should be able to speak into that. How do we bring our knowledge? How do we bring our skills? How do we bring all that we learned and acquired through our campus time into the national level and make our offices better, our governance better, and leadership much, much better? That is where the real issue is. And if we don't look into these things and sort them critically and urgently, we're going to wake up 10 years from now and we'll have, I don't know what. So I think we need to take charge as former student leaders and participate. We must involve ourselves.
Okay, thank you very much, Priska. Yes. And we will now have Sheila, and we'll come to the audience after Sheila to take our only 5 questions, very brief questions for the panel. Yes, please.
Thank you so much. The former president of Tanzania, I recognize your presence. For me, I think what these institutions should look out for should be an avenue to mentor the young leaders into becoming national leaders instead of involving them in party politics, which of course we know in our country, party politics has spread so much hate in youth, amongst youth, because it is very easy for parties to take advantage of youth, our youths to probably, spread hate. We are easily used because of so many reasons. One, probably because of the financial crisis that we have in our lives. Different reasons why youth could get used to spread hate, take an advantage of doing the criminal acts and all of that. So for me, I think that the universities should maintain their position to have non-political party activities in their guild politics, because that way the students are given opportunity to learn vastly, so that you're not limited to a particular party that you might have subscribed to. That way you'll be able to learn a lot of things, in that when you're out of university, you'll then choose which party to subscribe to. Because that's why I believe a lot of opportunities, say for instance, we are grooming, parties groom their people to only adhere to what it is that they say, eliminating a dictator or removing a dictator. This young person is going to grow up knowing that we are only focusing on removing a dictator. And then that is what is going to grow in the minds of this young person. So when you're out of university, you will take up that part. You will not have the opportunity to explore more on other avenues. So I believe the universities which do not have party politics are thriving very well. They have less of fights. They don't have these kinds of crises that come with politics. So I believe that should be the way to go. Maybe they'll be able to traverse into this when they're out of university politics. That's what I think, Isabella.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And There've been a couple Hakana Rugunda talk about his time at the university and his experience, and hopefully maybe in his address he might just throw in a line or two. Is there anyone from the organizers who could help move the microphone? Also, because men are oversubscribed in this hand situation, we will have a man and then a woman and then a man and then a woman. So, yeah. But we'll have you. Your hand came up first, sir. Yes, please. And as you submit, please provide your name, the university you're from, and then a very brief submission.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Hudhaifa Hassan from IUIU. So my question is to Madam Priska. As a female, as a female leader and as a first guild president, have you faced challenges, and how were you able to tackle those challenges that you have faced? So that is my question.
Thank you very much. We have the first female in this trajectory right at the back. Yes, please. You can stand up so that they can see you. Otherwise, we might have a situation where someone else takes the microphone. It was actually the lady at the front, but okay.
Greetings all, a very good afternoon to you. His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, we are honored by your presence. And all guild members, thank you very much for this event, it's amazing. My question goes to Honorable Anna Adeke. As a guild president, I firmly advocate for universities to retain from political engagement as much as we possibly can. My apologies, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Mariam Mohammed. I'm the guild president of Isbat University. We have to ensure that we prioritize our core mission in any university, which is education. And I feel like politics sort of distracts us from that. We also have to ensure that we are educated enough throughout the level of the universities such that we are able to perform in politics later on, not during our educational journey. We also have, you mentioned the politics, but I'm an international student. I am a North African, I come from Egypt. And I've been in Uganda for over 13 years now, but then I feel like it still keeps me in the bracket of, no, I should not involve myself into politics. Moreover, as a guild president of a university, Isbat University has students from 32 nationalities.
In conclusion? Yes.
Therefore, my question to you is, what would you have to say to a university like Isbat University with international students, and how would you advise for us to get into politics, and especially with a guild president from an international country? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Number 3 is right here.
It's a quick one.
Okay, this is not... also, this is not how democracy works.
This is how President Museveni came.
This is one of the problems we have in our country. Okay?
I am a student of law. This is how President Museveni came.
This is also what we are trying to address.
He grabbed the power and established a legal order. And then here we are 40 years down the road. Anyway, my question is a quick one. My name is Moses Omujugujugu, and I am the leader of opposition of Makerere University, the 90th guild government. My question goes to Honorable Mukasa Mbidde and the chairman EC. Here at Makerere University, political parties have been totally curtailed. There is a lot of dictatorship that even when you sneeze, tomorrow you receive a suspension letter. I want to pick it from him. What are you doing, like you who enjoyed political parties during your time? What have you done? And then what do you advise us to do? Because we are suffering, we are dying, we are about, I don't know how even to express this. We are being suffocated. We cannot talk, we cannot say anything. This was the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. If you ask him who won, he cannot tell you. He's here. colleagues, Makerere has been suffocated. We were calling upon every stakeholder to do something so that we can do something for us. I thank you. My President.
We are going to bring the questions to an end if that microphone moves to the President. Mr. President, sir, I am going to ask that that microphone goes to that gentleman. Very kindly.
No, my hand was up.
Yes, your hand was up, but there was an order. Mr. President, there was an order, and I hope that we can maintain order and decorum in this particular space, especially because our guest of honor is the epitome of decorum in the region.
Indeed, thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is Nyombi Haruna, and I am the Guild Speaker of Islamic University in Uganda, Kampala campus. In my submission, I only want to agree with one of our panelists, the former president of Uganda Makerere University. In terms of religious perspective, where universities are curtailing students to involve in political party politics, especially for universities like IUIU, Uganda Matters, and Uganda Christian University. These universities are based on values, and such values, I will take you for instance to my university, where the mission of the university is to serve as an academic institution based on Islamic values that create knowledge and trains learners to fulfill society needs. Therefore, when you bring in political parties, remember they have different ideologies, and these ideologies, when you may not be able to align them with the university values, first of all. For instance, she talked of removing the dictator kind of scenario. When you bring it into the university, to bring it in line with the values, sometimes the students may be put in a situation where they cannot ably associate with others. For instance, if I am a Muslim, maybe I'm subscribing to another political party. If we bring in this political party politics, we may not be able to freely participate, except if we are left to express ourselves freely without aligning ourselves to the political parties. We can ably be able to associate with others, like she had hinted on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We will take the lady, and we'll close the questions with the guild president. The lady is right across. It will be a nice thing for the gentleman to walk the microphone to her.
Please.
Yes, please. The lady in black. The lady in black. Yes. Thank you.
I want to stand on the already established protocol. My name is Akampara Shamim, and I'm the Vice Guild President, King Caesar University. I'm going to be so brief, and my question is directed to Honorable Mukasa Mbidde. How do we navigate as youth our way to political space where the ones in power do not want to leave, and they are actually somehow intimidated by the youth, and they are concluding that we are coming to the political space to bring chaos? My second question is going to be to the female leaders on the panel, and it's about the stigmatization of the female leaders and the females who aspire to be leaders. There is an issue of people wanting to fight females who want to be guild presidents, and you realize that most times for a lady to be a guild president, it's going to be after a few years in the university. So how do we fight that stigmatization? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, and we will close with the guild president. For the hands that are still up, I'd like to say that this is the first panel of the day. There's a second and third panel that I hope you can be able to participate in. So let's close with the guild president, and I will ask that you just ask a question, okay?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Being the host president, I will humbly request that you permit me with a little bit more latitude to expound more on my point so that they can clearly get it. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Mheshimiwa Raisi wa zamani wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, jina langu ni Lubega Nsamba. Mimi ni sasa na 90 raisi wa chama cha Makerere. Vocation elections which were marred by total violence. But none of the candidates that were aspiring for the various positions was inclined to any political party. So why is it that when they are trying to verify, so that puts us at a risk, of us being chosen leaders for, because the EC cannot verify the results. He can't tell me that I got this number of results from my School of Social Sciences. He can't tell me that. He doesn't know that. Our Justice Simon Biabakama, allow me to report to you that however much this country in 2005 we entered into an inception of allowing multi-party politics, that very statute I'm talking about under section 6.2 does not allow us to politically associate openly. When they hear that Lubega Nsamba is associating with any political party, they are going to come after me and disqualify me from the race, which we believe it does not really work with the national laws, because Article 29E allows us to politically associate with any political parties that we wish. Here at Makerere University, we are socially discriminated. In that same statute, section 80C, year ones are not allowed to stand. That is social discrimination, which Article 21, Clause 2 of our Constitution, which is the supreme law, does not kowtow to that. So the leaders who are here, kindly, and management, we are humbly requesting, let us look through these things, because we all appreciate the important aspect of leadership, what leadership can do to any society. Honorable Mukasa Mbidde, I don't believe you will be the way you are if you are subjected to the same system that we are subjected to currently. I believe you must know what is taking place at Makerere. The Justice Biabakama, who is the head of elections in the entire country, we are about to reach out to your office, all the former leaders. We want to see how we can subvert this, because surely it does not build for the future, it does construct the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Yes, so we're going to come back to the panel, and whereas the panel can comment on that question, I would advise that we defer that question to the next panel, because the next panel is purely looking at youth engagement in policy formations, and it's also exploring students' leaders' roles in influencing tertiary institution policy frameworks, and that is quite broadly. And thankfully, the chair or the moderator for that panel, Ms. Helena Okiri, is in the house, and she has elaborately had that question, and I believe it will be a good context to, with which to open panel 2. On that note, I will come back to the main panel, and I'd like to say that we've eaten into the time by about 10 minutes, so we really need to close this very quickly. So if we can limit our responses miraculously to a minute, that will be ideal. And we will start from my far right, which is with Sheila. Yes, please.
I beg your pardon?
We will start with you in closing. So I had provided guidance at the beginning on a few questions to respond to, and in case there's a particular question that was directed at you, please respond, but let's not take more than 2 minutes in response.
Thank you so much. There was no question referred to me. However, this would just be a very few remarks from me. I think it's very important that we should be service-based, service-oriented, than focusing on political parties. Because then when we focus on political parties, I don't think there's much that we do, given we're in universities and other institutions. When you are looking forward to giving service to your people, I don't think there's anything that comes beyond that, other than worshiping and probably, as they say, bootlicking, which is a very harsh word I would say they use out there. People focus on parties so much so that they forget the aspect of why they have been chosen in that particular or critical role. And also, I would think that student leaders should look forward to organizing the communities that they are the cheerleaders, because then it is through that organization that your performance is going to be looked out for. Because when you lead a very disorganized society, whatever it is that you do, I don't think it can be seen. And also, maybe we could, for the universities that practice party politics, I think it's only fair that maybe the students choose what to go with, because at the end of the day, when you're out of university, what are you going to do outside there? What is it that you want to achieve? If you limited yourself to party activities right from universities, when you get out, the transition is going to be a little bit hard. Even the adaptation to these other environments is going to be a little bit hard. So for me, I think it's important that you focus on service. It's important that you focus on growth and what comes with leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Moving over to Mr. Christopher Okidi.
Oh, thank you so much.
Just a reminder that it's 2 minutes.
Oh, that is even too much. Thank you. There are things that we need to agree in this room that are non-negotiable. You see, there are things you can negotiate about, and then there are those that are non-negotiable. In any relationship, even with your girlfriend, you have to tell her that, you see, we can negotiate about this, but these are unnegotiable. And I think democracy is unnegotiable. There is no need to pontificate, move around, scatter around the idea by trying to bring justifications that are dead on arrival. For example, how do you begin to say? By the way, for you, I think I didn't give myself an elaborate introduction. I've studied in 3 universities in this country, and the 4th institution I studied in is at LDC, so I understand all this context. In fact, this was my guild president I voted for when I was studying at political science here for my graduate program, and when I was doing law at UCU, I voted for Priska. So I have been in these universities and I know. When I was youth leader of DP, I wanted to challenge the Uganda Christian University because clearly limiting students from participation, a student you admitted, you limit him to participate for guild elections because of religion, and yet there are constitutional provisions about rights to your political opinion, social affiliation, and all that, and the state is just watching. In fact, I'm very disappointed in Makerere Guild President to be complaining here in this Guild Leaders Summit. I expected him to be complaining in court by way of judicial review. I know Ivan Bowe is always there giving pro bono. So even we were told by philosophers then, Aquinas, Augustine, to object to unjust laws, you see? In fact, you're helping Uganda in its democratic development by challenging unjust laws in some of these institutions. Let's take democracy as a non-negotiable. We shouldn't negotiate about that. This brings me to a point where I want to dissent with some of my panelists, including my senior colleague in the Democratic Party, Mukasa Mbidde. Democracy is an inclusive institution. Democracy thrives on dissent. In fact, they say the cornerstone of democracy is dissent. Democracy is all about inclusivity. In fact, the simplest definition to define democracy is that democracy, yes, is that democracy is an institution for conflict resolution in society. You have law, that is why there are rule of law, all those things. You have what? You go to constitutional court. You have a land problem, you go there. So, democracy is something that, so humanity, it came up because humanity generally will have differences.
Thank you.
In this panel, we are not the same. We shall be different, even in opinion and what. But then there is democracy to moderate this. And finally, Isabella, this idea of saying people are idiots is what I really wanted to dissent with. Democracy being an inclusive institution, there is really no need to stratify people in terms of who they are, their cognitive aptitude. Democracy should include everybody.
Thank you.
And those who actually,
Okidi. Mr. Okidi Christopher.
I just want to recommend two books.
Yes.
Kindly, those who think unreasonable people cannot bring change, I want you to read Ebert Hubbard, A Message to Garcia, and see how someone you thought was stupid ended the the Cuban and Spanish Revolution. And then also there's Alfred Hitchman, who writes about what is called beneficial ignorance. So even there's some ignorance that is also beneficial.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to Honorable Anna.
I had two questions. The first that was raised by the young lady, the Guild President of East Batch University, who spoke generally about the fact that you go to university to get an education, to get your degree, and you shouldn't be so politically involved. I think that an education is more than just a degree that you have. I mean, I was in Makerere, I studied law, graduated with a second-class upper honors degree, CGPA of 4.01, on Dean's List, doing law, while I was also Guild President. I think I left Makerere University with more than just a Bachelor of Laws degree. And I think that it also enriches your experience as an international student to increase your knowledge, increase your experience about what happens. What distinguishes you as a student who leaves home to study in another country is your experience is going to be enriched by some other situations that other students back home will not have. So when you allow yourself to be politically involved, you also acquire knowledge, you acquire experience, and it's a good thing that you come from Africa, within Africa, because we struggle, we grapple with the same challenges all over the African continent. So I think that you should allow yourself to experience these things so that you get more than just a degree, which will be also a classic degree. You may get a classic degree, but also what you get outside, just that paper that you hold, will really enrich you as an individual and what you will become in the future. It will increase your ambition. I mean, I can't expound in detail, but it definitely makes you an edge way better than other students. That's why you find, when I was in Makerere, in the FDC, we had an office for international relations, international students, because we wanted them to also be a part of this, to experience, and because it's a platform for your voice to be heard. So I think you should embrace it and experience it.
Thank you.
It will enrich you. There was another question that was posed about the stigmatization of females. And I just want all the young women here to know you're not alone. What you've been going through, we went through it. But now you have so many examples to cite about very successful female leadership in Uganda as a country, in our institutions of higher learning. In Makerere, we have Shamim, Nambasa. At the time I became Guild President, it had been Nora Njuba, Sarah Kajingo, Susan Abo, and I was the fourth. And now Shamim, I'm so proud of her. She becomes the fifth female. And I'm hoping there'll be another female from Makerere University. But you have all these examples to cite. And also, it's important as young women to get mentored. Don't navigate this journey alone, acting like you're the first to take this journey. You know, like John Speake, who they said was discovering Africa, yet we were already here. You have many people that you can share your challenges with. So don't navigate this like you are the first and the only one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Priska, very briefly.
Okay, thank you very much. I had a question directed to me from my brother. I think he's from IUIU, on the challenges I have faced as a female leader, and now I've been able to overcome them. I ran for National Female Youth MP, her constituency, in 2021. And I came fourth out of 12 candidates in that election. But there's something that election gave me. It never leaves you the same. So what I would implore anyone here in this room is that you have to have resolve. When you go for something, you must have that resolve and say, at all costs, no matter the results, I'll have to stay on course. It's been 3 years since I have stayed on course. I've actually got better and better and better. But also that gave me a very big network of friends that I met along that journey, along that race. And one of the ways you can navigate the challenges you face as a leader is by having an inner circle that has your back. You must have friends that you can trust and count on. In this room, there are very many friends. His Excellency Ocheng Ocheng was Guild President Chambago University. Ivan Wowe, we ran together. Anna Deke, she even gave me some fuel. You need to have friends who can give you money when you're going to contest. Yes, so you need to have friends who are genuine, but above all also God. I'm a strong believer in Christ, and you must have your faith in God, because people can disappoint you, but God never leaves us. So you must have your faith in God. The second question was about stigmatization of female leaders. What I would like to say is that you need to distinguish yourself as a girl, because already there is patriarchy in society, and there are very many odds that are against the girl child. So when you're competing, you must have an edge. Me, I can't get scared when I'm competing with a gentleman. No. We are equally good, and the best has to win. So show cause, be distinguished, be excellent, have friends and mentors that will impact into your life, that will really matter, and participate at all levels. Don't despise the door of humble beginnings. Begin from a small club, from a small chapter, maybe of an association, and as time goes, you'll get to the top. Always rises to the top. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes. And lastly, I cannot, it seems it's the DP gentleman I need to warn about time. So, Honorable Mukasa Mbidde, over to you in conclusion already.
Yes, thank you very much. I had 2 questions and what my brother called a disagreement, or a difference between me and probably his interpretation of idiocy. He has recommended a series of books, except one, which is Violence Between Monkeys and Man. So, now this is to you, the young people. First of all, who told you that joining politics and practically belonging to a political party gives you a bleak future? I am here. I hold a Bachelor's of Mass Communication degree from this university. I hold a Bachelor of Laws degree from the same university, Diploma in Legal Practice, Masters of Laws, Oil and Gas, and a PhD honoris causa from the University of Philadelphia. Let me tell you why the difference between a PhD, which is academic, and one which is honoris causa. The one which is academic, somebody studies, majors in a field, and is actually subjected to a lot of scrutiny to the extent that then he is adjudged as fit and fair to be awarded a PhD. What about the one honoris causa? The university instead now studies about you sleeplessly to the extent that it awards you that degree. So that is the one I have. Now, I am equally a businessman, and I am flourishing, and my businesses are flourishing. I don't think if there is anybody that goes hungry, that statistic cannot include me. So why don't you join politics? For the sole purpose that anybody tells you you will now have a bleak future. Which kind of future do I have? If you want to look like me, or even better, just join. Number 2, and in fact join the Democratic Party. Number 2, my brother, the guild president, and of course somebody else, Mujugujugu, who also posed the question. You have raised a very fundamental matter, that there is a statute that stops you from holding your politics here basing on multi-party political dispensation. My brother has recommended judicial review. It doesn't apply, of course. That is not the law. Judicial review applies to decisions, but this is a law. Now, what we are going to look at is The law is very clear.
The lead person is extending towards us. So yes,
okay.
In conclusion.
Okay, yes. Because you see, they say the minimis non iturat rex.
I hope that is not an attack on me.
The law recognizes everything except very minor matters. Now, this is not a minor matter. Why don't I conclude on it? Because it is a matter for which there are a lot of frowns on the faces of university students. I think we are going to advise you. Mr. Guild President take a decision as the GRC, recommending that we go to the Constitutional Court to have that statute expunged from the records of statutes in Uganda. Because that is the best way. I will be available, and I am sure many other advocates in Uganda will be available. We will definitely represent you, and I will make sure nobody charges you, not even me. We will be the lead lawyer. With only those, first of all, let me thank you. Because for me, this is a very great opportunity to, first of all, address the honchos and sachems of academics here in Uganda. I thank you so much, and the Right Honorable Prime Minister Emeritus, I am always happy each time I see you. Our senior leaders that have led this university before us, you showed us the way, Right Honorable Chikaide, and our other leaders, the doctors. So you have guided us, and I am sure we have not disappointed you. Thank you very much for God and my country.
Thank you, thank you. I am going to pretend like I have not seen your hand, but it's been a great honor and privilege to host this distinguished panel. A big thank you to Honorable Anna Adeke. Thank you very much. Let's clap for her. A big thank you to Sheila Obia, who was Guild President with Uganda Matters University. Thank you to Priska Nyangiro, who was Guild President, Uganda Christian University. To Christopher Okidi, who was Guild President, Gulu University. Thank you very much. And to the Honorable Mukasa Mbidde, thank you very much for being part of this panel. Once again, this panel was made possible by Civ Legacy Foundation. And the Civ Legacy Foundation is a philanthropy support and advisory partner, passionate about curating and facilitating spaces for conversations on contextual issues on leadership, governance, transition management, succession planning across sectors. Civ Legacy is part of Civ Africa, which is a philanthropy advisory firm. So Civ Legacy, thank you for making this possible. And to the entire panel, thank you very much. We should now exit before Mr. Chamagero comes back for us. Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm going to give more ground rules moving forward, especially for the speakers and the next panels coming through. We don't have quite a lot of time. I understand we are young and youthful, and we wish to speak from here to Timbuktu and back, but we won't have enough time. So the next speakers, I'm going to request that we try as much as we can to be brief, because there is a lot more coming. We still have 2 more panels coming.